With Danielle on my desk today. Hello, hello. Ooh, welcome to what is today? Sweet Tuesday. It's a on the farm. It's not unusual for me to lose track of which days are which, and it's made much worse when I miss attending with the brethren on the first day of the week, like I did this week. Okay, look at that flare. So, so how are you on this Tuesday here in southern Indiana? I had sun today. It was amazing. The wind was up, so it was cold and the wind was blustery, but yeah, sun was out. It was so nice. We were just saying this morning how much we were missing the sun. So that was a gift the very day. And we get more wind tomorrow. It's like moving away from Oklahoma, where the winds come sweeping down the plains with the intentional purpose of getting away from so much wind. And then we come to our little piece of the world in southern Indiana. And by all accounts, people who are local, people who have lived there, say we own the windiest property in southern Indiana. So there's something about the way our property is situated that it just kind of captures breezes. Still nothing like Oklahoma, but when it's cold outside, it drives the cold into you. So, but today in the sun, I didn't care. It was so nice. We got the fences moved for the chickens and the ducks, and they were all excited because they had all kinds of new little places to go explore and still be safe in their fence. Isn't that a wonderful thing? It's weird. It's like God's creation understands the benefit of a hedge of protection. And we understand the benefits of God's protection because of the hedge that is His word and His will, and the whole point of the book of Job. And it's a wonderful thing when you can see it playing out in person. So glad to have you here again. For those, if you're new here, I'm Angela, the Diligent Woman from thediligentwoman.com. And hello, Dean. Thank you for being here. Glad to see you. And we are working our way through 31 days of scriptures that are focused on Jesus. But instead of only focusing on his birth, we spend the whole month putting his birth into the context of the big picture. Out of the 31 verses, the bigger bulk of them is writing out the account of his birth because that's the center of what we're looking at. But it's not all that we're looking at. So we are still in Matthew's account of Matthew's account is actually the events after Jesus' birth. Because Matthew gives us Joseph being told of what's going on, and he is made aware of Mary's pregnancy. And then it jumps right in to somewhere around a year to 2 years after Jesus is born, with the Magi coming from the east to come and worship this child that has been born, that has been foretold, coming from this foreign country, making this journey to come and offer worship to this child that has been born. And it's gotten the attention of Herod. So today we pick up our reading. We are still in Matthew chapter 2. And today we are only reading verses 13 through 15. So again, as always, I encourage you to write these verses out. Make notes around what you've written. Highlight words, circle words, make cross references. Use the page to kind of channel all your thoughts about what you get reminded of when you come to these scriptures. Okay. Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 through 15. Now, when they had departed, that is the Magi, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Get up, Take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." So Joseph got up and took the child and his mother while it was still night and departed for Egypt. And he remained there until the death of Herod, in order that what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet would be fulfilled, saying, "Out of Egypt I called my son." Okay. Again, the focus here, when we get over to Luke, the focus is on Mary. But in Matthew's account, he focuses more on Joseph. And we have Joseph's obedience that brings about his going ahead and marrying Mary, but not taking his husband right until after this child is born. And now, after these magi have come, Herod's been alerted, they're in danger, and once again, Egypt becomes this place of protection for the people of Israel. Many, many times that the people of Israel have run to Egypt for protection, sometimes for their benefit, sometimes it ended up not being great. But it was always a protection because they were always able to thrive and to grow while in Egypt, and then they could leave Egypt and go do something else. We see this with Abraham. We see this obviously, notably with Moses, and after all of Joseph's family is in Egypt, and then with the great exodus from Egypt. But we see so many that when there's a famine, Egypt is the place to go. Moab is another place to go. Um, but you would go to Egypt if the famine was such that it included places like Moab and all of that because of where it was. So Egypt is a place of protection. Um, Here we have God sending a message in a dream to Joseph. And again, Joseph obeys. And he stays, like it says, until he's told that it is safe to go home. They had to wait for Herod to die. Needed this threat to go away. And that gets spelled out more in the Luke account, which we'll start that in a few days. We're going to finish this section tomorrow by going down into the end of the chapter and finishing about the call to come back from Egypt and to finish that story. That's tomorrow. And then there is a corroborating verse in Matthew 8 that we're going to put together with this. And then we go back into the book of Luke to get the birth of this child from the view of Mary. I love how God has given us both perspectives, given us the impact on those things. Again, that would have to do with who was interested in which details. Joseph, being the father legally, would be important to Matthew's readers. That was going to be an important thing. His genealogy seals that up. Jesus is the son of David through both of his parents. They both are descended, and that is given in his genealogy. And that's an important fact because obviously the Jews are very focused on their ancestry. And it keeps up with the prophecies, right? So we have Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We see that there's a plan. This is where we've been writing for the last week. There's a plan that God has set in motion, and Jesus has been a part of it from the very beginning, and he is the one who facilitates it. It's through him that God's will is done. It is always through Christ that God's will is accomplished. Jesus is the one who speaks it in his being, and the two are not to be separated until Jesus was willing to separate himself from the throne of God for a temporary time. He didn't decide that it was more important that he get to hold on to all of his power where it was. Instead, he took on a lesser form for a time and took a lesser form child growing in the womb and to be born, very weak, easily endangered, But all of this so he could grow up and you could have the confidence that he understands the human experience. He understands what it's like to grow up and to be obedient and to learn your customs and how to switch from being obedient to your parents to being obedient to God the Father. Understands all of those struggles and all the little nuances in the middle. So I hope that this telling of the story just helps to set in your mind as you're going through the month all of the things that you're doing. We spoke last week about trying to make sure that we're walking in God's grace while we go through the holiday season. And part of that is not getting distracted from the bigger picture. Yeah. Put your heart and your soul into giving a lovely time to your family if that is something that's important to you. But don't lose sight of God in the process. As it says over in Romans, serve the day, but do it unto the Lord. Give it to the Lord. What can you do that would be pleasing to Him? And it's not just observing that the Christ child was born, it's treating your family the way that they should be, teaching your children how they should treat you and how they should treat others, thinking of ways that you can do for other people. There's so many aspects to this that still keeps your focus on God and all of those things that are important. So I hope that you can do this and that this little daily walk, just little touches, building our story, can help you to do that and keep that in your mind without it being a stress. And I hope that it gives you words to pray. Pray to God and thank Him for so many little details. Tell Him thank you for the gathering of these words so that you could read them, so that you can have these tellings for you to be reminded that He is consistent and that He is faithful, so that you can do that. So that's our reading. Write out the scriptures. Today there's just 3 verses, so that's not hard. Write them out and make cross references. You've got here a quote. Go find that quote. Go find that. Use your Bible to find that. Use your Bible apps, your concordance, whatever tools you have to find that, and go put that prophecy into your mental picture of everything that's going on. The prophecy of what was to come and how it's been fulfilled. And then, Lord willing, as you go forward into the day, the story will just get richer and richer. As always, my prayer for you is that you will have abundance in all things, but especially as your spirit grows. Thank you for being here. We're going with you tomorrow.